I'm kind of, I'm a transact, so I'm kind of watching from the sidelines, and so I'm kind of more in the education industry, but I'm not even looking at the industry. I'm very,
You're constantly educating.
yeah. I guess I am personally.
Sure.
Class started back up, by the way. UNC Keenan Flagler.
Oh yeah.
Actually, my first class just ended after
Aren't
COVID.
you? You're getting towards the end of that.
Yeah, I've been at like 90% complete. I stopped going when, basically they went online last year.
Yeah.
But I specifically recall that the kind of music festival promotion client
Sure.
of
Yeah.
UDX basically stopped doing business, right?
Yeah. Well, they hit kind of a brick wall when COVID really ramped up, which was,
Maybe
having a hard time remembering
what is Disco Donnie?
Well,
This is one of your oldest clients.
Yeah, 10 years. A lot of our clients have been with us for more than 10 years. And that's awesome.
So what is Disco? Tell us about Disco Donnie. What do they do?
Yeah. So Disco Donnie, well, they do live music events. That includes club shows. So like in a nightclub, with a disco ball. They also do them in concert halls, which is like a stage where you would normally see a guy on a guitar with a drum kit. And then you will also see them do large scale events, festivals, with 50,000 people. And their particular music is electronic dance music. So the Skrillex and Marshmello, all those.
Okay. How do they make money? That's what I'm trying to understand.
Sure. They sell tickets.
Okay. So just straight up. Okay.
They produce the event. They don't represent the artist. They produce the event and they make a percentage of the ticket.
Maybe could you quickly explain how that process, this because to me it's always been like fascinating how this subculture industry works, where these artists, then these promoters, like
Yeah.
how does it work? Like just give me like
Well, I'm probably
crash
I
course.
know quite a bit, but definitely not.
You interviewed Skrillex. I've seen you do it. So don't pretend like you don't know what you're talking
Yes.
about.
Okay, this was the same for rock music, like in the 70s, before Live Nation came around and consolidated everything. What DDP or Disco Donnie Presents is ultimately doing is they're consolidating all these disconnected promoters. So a promoter is somebody who says, I want to bring this artist in, I want to do it at this venue, and I want to sell tickets to it. Those are like the main parties involved.
One of my little kind of one of the benefits of being a founder in a software company is you can kind of do little experiments now and then. So one of the experiments I've been doing is using Vlad.
It's like a mini Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, exactly. Using one of your engineers is really good to basically kind of build out some ideas I had regarding basically applying artificial intelligence, but more specifically vision analysis, like label detection, basically taking all the photos from the same MLS you're talking about and running them through basically models built by
like this is wood.
Yeah, exactly. It can basically tell you, there's
black.
a table in this picture. Like you basically take a photo and extract, like, I think the average was like 17 or 18 keywords. And those are like keywords that the real estate agent probably never put into the description. So It's a way to basically, once again, make it easier for you to find, things that have a green backyard.
Yep.
So you could literally type in green backyard, and it's going to find you all the MLS listings, like of the listings in the market now.
Here's where
showing
I think
the
you could
backyard.
take that. I don't think somebody's ever going to type in green backyard. However, what I think they will do is if we put pictures in front of them, they may consistently like a green backyard photo.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that's the actual learning part.
Yeah.
So just analyzing and getting like labels out of an image isn't that hard. And surprisingly, Microsoft is a lot better at it than Google.
Yeah.
Like they basically like
I like that little description it wrote.
Yeah, not only does Microsoft tell you what keywords it saw in the picture, it gives you like a sentence description.
Yep.
It's not always that good, but it's not bad.
But going back to the SEO aspect of it, that little sentence will help us if we
Yeah.
figure out how to work it into,
We can probably generate that sentence a little bit better ourselves, just by because we basically have now we can have a computer, kind of with a bunch of if-then statements, write a little paragraph explaining what this picture is about.
Yep.
Right. So you can basically, to make search easier for people.
Sure.
But back to your point, nobody will type in green backyard. So yeah, that's the other. So the first part is basically just getting more data.
We gotta make the Tinder for real estate.
Well, he did. So basically, he built a system that is basically a Tinder for real estate. Well, it just basically shows you
or hot or not picture if you go way back.
Well, I don't know if hot or not was very good at actually predicting or doing any kind of analysis. I think it just showed you random people. Basically, the way it works is, you go to this website you end up at, you see basically photos. Yep. Now, if you just came there, the site doesn't know who you are. You'll probably just kind of get the best photos. It's actually not that hard to figure out the best photos because a lot of photos are terrible.
I know in real estate, they want that exterior photo to be the default.
And see, I also question that. I question that as well. It's all the things that are done in real estate websites and search is basically hasn't been rethought for 15 years. So I don't know. I question everything, but specifically, we're not going to show the front of the house. We're going to basically show them the nice kitchens.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll show them the nice backyards. We'll show them the nice, driveways. And when they click on something they okay, now we're starting.
I want to see the shower with all the different heads. You just stand there and you're clean in 30 seconds. I want to see those.
I don't know if there might be one of those around here. It's pretty rare. There's actually, I was looking, there's in this area, there's houses going up to just 10 million is the most. I don't know how many million of dollars does your house have to cost for you to have?
I don't know. Probably. Well, if you build your own house.
All right. Anyway, so let's come back to that. Building a house is probably a good idea. But anyway, so once you click on a picture, let's say you clicked on something that was a kitchen.
Sure.
Well, now we know that it looks like kitchen matters to you more so than not. And basically, as you do that, Vlad is using, I want to say it's Google's product, one of Google's API, one of Google Cloud's product recommendation service, where basically it's actually made for e-commerce, but we're trying to use it for real estate. We're basically, kind of the same way shopping carts will recommend things to you. We're recommending photos.
So you have to build a catalog.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
So, and that catalog is built from the data that we got from analyzing the images and extracting all of this information. Yeah. So I think I haven't looked at this because
what's the per search cost?
Per search?
Up. Yeah, I'm a user and I go use your user interface. What's the total cloud cost for that user session?
I don't remember that number, but I do remember that it cost us. I think it was going to cost $700 altogether to analyze all the active media.
And you just have to do it once, and then every time.
Yeah, exactly. But and there's 170,000 photos.
Yeah, that's quite a bit.
Yeah, it was $700. So
nice.
Actually, I think we capped it off. It's not expensive. Basically, it's not. It's worth it if it's
back to the earlier example where I was talking about distance from point of interest, like work, to perform that analysis. I think it came to forget what it was. It was expensive, per search to if I put in this is where I work and I just want to see 30 minutes out.
Right.
It was $20 or something.
So you're talking about basically if you want to tell people how far a particular house is from another place and you want to use a third party
like Google Maps or something
to tell you
it's expensive.
It's expensive.
So the image thing, that's super cheap.
Yeah. It's just self-driving cars and all those Google captchas. Over the last 10 years, our vision recognition has improved significantly. I mean, hell, my BMW can tell when there's things in front of me, and
my FJ cannot tell me anything. It's a dumb box.
Yeah, it's it's a big car, so it doesn't have to. In the Tahoe, I didn't have to be told either. I just do it. Anyway,
you just keep going forward.
And the last thing about this kind of I think it's called Hoxler vision. I don't know what the code name for it is. Basically, basically to recap, we got a bunch of photos and media from the active real estate inventory. We analyzed them all. Basically, now we know more about what's in the photos than the real estate agent did most likely, or at least we make it searchable now, right? Then we basically kind of put this into a Tinder-like portal where
Yep.
people can basically, based on what they click on, they'll see more or less
Yeah.
of that. And we'll also, as they click on photo, one of the cool things about that is we don't actually ask them what your budget is. This is another example where
Sticker shock.
I don't
really
wanna ask
like
that.
that kitchen with all the wolf appliances.
I want to let them tap on the things that they like,
Sure.
and then we'll tell them what their budget should be.
Oh, okay.
And if and after that they can adjust, but just forget the, literally just it bothers me how every real estate site has the same stupid
Money
questions.
bothers me too.
Money.
Yeah.
Well,
I hate being told I can't afford that.
well, because look, it's when you go on Tinder, you're not planning on meeting every single person on there.
There's plenty of people on Tinder I can't afford.
Right. So I mean, it's kind of like the gamification aspect
Sure.
of just like clicking.
I
I
think
like
it's
this
great.
kitchen. That alone could basically keep people interested. And
yeah,
as they're doing
totally.
this, we're basically figuring out like programmatically what kind of place they want to live in.
Yep.
And I don't even care if they want to buy it or rent it. Just what kind of place, based on what you showed us, would be a place where you would enjoy living at.
Sure.
I
Builders
don't
would like
think
that information.
Builders.
Yeah.
We
They're the ones who make
can't
the
disclose
houses.
it for privacy reasons, like Google.
Or architects.
But the last thing is, like, one of the things with machine learning or AI is you basically have to train the machine.
Yep.
Right. You can't just like the first person who shows up to your site.
And my million landing pages idea will give you the traffic that you need to train your algorithms.
It's not fast enough. What we're doing is we're using Mechanical Turk, and we're basically running. It's like a few more hundred. We're basically going to have 1,000 people, might have already been done, go in there and basically pre-rate vote for us.
Sure.
Just a way, for like a few $1,000s,
Jumpstart.
you basically you can emulate. Because I think you need like 10,000 or so data points for Google's product recommendation to actually work. So we're hydrating that by running, jobs targeting U.S. kind of homeowners and people who have a mortgage. Mechanical Turk lets you do.
Sure.
Hopefully, they're not full of crap. But yeah, basically, it's a way to hydrate the data models. So I don't know. It's funny because this is happening at your company, but I know I've I guess now we haven't looped
special
you in.
projects.
Yeah, Vlad is would be great to actually get him on video to explain it because he's really it's good stuff. Like this, to me, it seems like actual practical application. Just taking what we're good at, which is like vision recognition and just recommendations and just kind of putting together and just changing the way people find places to live. Okay, let's get a bit more into the, because I'm doing my MBA, trying to finish my MBA. It's my
What does
fourth
MBA stand
year
for?
in my MBA, Master's in Business Administration.
Mm-hmm.
I've used, and the good part is I've used up the entire GI Bill on grad school. So, and somehow they also, anyways, I feel like I've, got most bang for the buck. But anyway, so
living the dream.
Take your favorite kind of client or partner
Sure.
that's got a business process that if invested in could I don't know how to phrase the question, but basically like give me an example of somewhere where it matters just as much how you do it, not just what you're doing, but like how you do it matters. Like
Well, we saw how just in time just worked.
Yes.
It was a big disaster, which is interesting. They
Wait, what are you talking about? Which with the chips or with what?
no, well, with the just in time idea is that your material for your process arrives right as close to when you need it.
Yeah, but what happened?
Well,
I thought
the
you meant-
pandemic happened, and that turned out to be a terrible idea in that situation because of how just in time we really are.
Yeah, but I mean, like how?
But what's interesting though, Toyota saw it coming, and they actually are one of the
pandemic.
Well, they saw a supply chain disruption on a big scale. They planned for
Okay,
it.
so maybe it is all about supply chains. This is going to be really theoretical, I guess. But explain to me, in your opinion, difference between a supply chain, like what is it, ENC, like one of the kind of manufacturing
Energy
clients
ENC.
have,
Yep.
compared to whatever service company has. Is it still a supply chain, or is it something else?
Yeah, I think. Well, with like client like Energy NC, their supply chain. I don't know. I mean, you could kind of think about it in two ways. especially now after the pandemic. If you look at a supply chain, it's not just the physical goods, it's the people. And what's the problem right now? People. Not only this, like the traditional sense of a supply chain of things moving from point A to point B, but there's also a person, like a staff, people problem. There's not enough people to fill these jobs. The people are part of the supply chain. So it's not just like we don't have enough trucks or not enough bandwidth or containers. It's also we don't have enough people to unload these containers. We don't have enough people to fulfill whatever it is. I feel like that's part of it. That's part of a supply chain is the people.
Yeah, I definitely, I guess. But
so when you say a service company
Yeah.
is very people focused.
yeah, but it's what I mean by supply chain is you have some kind of product or value that's moving from down like this conveyor belt, right? That's kind of what supply chain. I guess maybe I'm speaking more so about like value streams where like you basically have a product that gets like it makes its way through your organization to the customer, and while it's going through your organization, there's processes, right?
Yep.
What would you call it? What's a core process of UDX?
Well,
Or supply, whatever you want to call this thing. Like, what would you want to map out, basically? If you were trying to make the company make more money, grow, be more efficient, like all those, pretty much anything related to improvement, you would need to map out something, right? What would you be mapping out for UDX?
well, I always think in terms of the customer or the client. So I'd map out the client experience. Like, how do we communicate with them? How do we sell more to them? How do we help them make more money?
Okay, so I like the money example. Can you drill into how we help them make more money? Like,
Sure. Well,
what's
that's
the
kind of
process?
where I was going towards is that we're basically embedded with the client. We are part of their kill chain. We are a part of their supply chain. And by being in there with them, we're able to identify inefficiencies that they would not have been able to identify themselves because of the nature of what we do, which is process automation. So that process of building that relationship with a client, getting in there, I think that's part of what we do as a company. That's our kill chain, is developing that relationship, getting in there, identifying what the problems are, coming up with solutions, pitching them the solutions, getting approval, mapping out what it takes to build it, implement it, and the pipeline that goes into rolling out those changes. I mean, that's basically what we do.
Is the pipeline of rolling out the changes like part of this? Is it looked at separately as the pipeline to basically like build a relationship, for example? Or is it all like is it a loop, or is it different pipelines?
That's a good question. I don't think we've modularized it that deeply. I mean, what we've really focused on is the delivery aspect of building and delivering. And I think it's a combination of what is it? Magic and science. The relationship building,
Art and science. Right?
art and science. Sure. I like magic.
Magic is good too. Just add art, magic, or science.
Naming things, hardest part. So, I mean, but there's ways to augment the art part, which is like, for example, we use HubSpot internally, right?
Okay.
So HubSpot can help you manage the client relationship to a certain degree. It can remind you to do follow-ups and things. I think there's some process automation there that could be applied.
So what is HubSpot? Not like literally, it's a CRM, but what is it? What is HubSpot to UDX? It's a business system, or like how do you?
Sure.
Is it like one of many? Like, do you? Because what I noticed is this is a common problem is. They used to call this islands of information back in the days. These different business systems you get. And what's crazy is now that everything's in the cloud, there's a business system for everything, right? But we're kind of back to the same problem of having a bunch of separate business systems that have different, kind of data sets. They might send notifications to Slack or whatever, but like they don't really talk to each other, right? So,
well,
what do
you need a middle layer to do the translation. And that a lot of times that's what we end up building. We will either build our own internal brain for a client, like we are for Energy NC, where we're developing his own internal brain, the ERP, or with us at UDX, we're relying on HubSpot to be our brain. That's where we send data to. But another client, actually with Disco Donnie Presents, I'm in talks with them now, is that they're lacking a brain. They're lacking that central thing that orchestrates all the other systems. Because right now they're putting a lot of data into these closed systems. Like their ticketing provider doesn't have an API. Their tool that they use as a CRM.
They don't use Eventbrite anymore?
No.
Well, Eventbrite had a great API.
Yes, it did. And we leveraged it very much. And but yeah, the business reasons, they moved away from it and they got locked in with ticketing provider has no API.
Why don't they build their own ticket? Why don't they become their own ticketing provider?
That's a great question. I asked them that yesterday.
Oh, did you? Yeah, vertical integration. I mean, look at Tesla. Worked out great for them, right?
You know what? They didn't say no.
I mean, it's not that hard. I mean,
It's
what
not.
is it? Like you're literally just. Yeah, it seems like almost be easier to build one
Yes.
than to send data.
And that's what I was trying
without an
to
API.
explain to them.
Mhm.
And they didn't say no, but they
So
didn't
this
say
is great.
yes.
Explain to me, like, try to convince. What's the argument? So we use this, let's say we use Stripe. Which Stripe is a great
If
company.
you like, I
It's
can
probably
paint a
not-
whole picture.
All right. Explain to me, because this is an example of basically where, like, all right, this is the company, they're doing stuff, and
Yeah.
this is a part where you basically can, make an investment or whatever. What's the end result? What are you trying to do by?
I'm trying to help DDP 10x.
Okay.
That's what I want to do for them. And by being embedded in their company, I can see these problems.
Okay.
So pre-pandemic, they had about 100 upcoming events. How many events do you think they have now?
Right now, upcoming.
200. Doubled. They're doubling the number of their festivals. And
Mhm.
guess what I'm also seeing? Is they're hiring more people.
Right.
And the people that they're hiring are doing digital stuff. Like they're doing things that can be automated. Great example is somebody to manage ad campaigns on Facebook, Google, and Twitter. All of those platforms have APIs. We can automate the creation of those ad campaigns. So basically the question that I asked them is like, how will you guys handle having 1,000 upcoming events? And that's what they want. They eventually want to get there. But I said, I was just kind of throwing things out there to see how they would react. And I said, how would you do that now? And they all kind of went, ugh, they did the, and I don't think they can. And I think they need to embrace technology. They need to.
Well, Disco Donnie has been embracing technology
Oh,
for a while,
yes.
from what I remember.
Yes,
Those
yes.
guys, they actually.
They're a
really-
great client.
I mean,
They accept technology.
UDX actually got into horizontally scaling cloud services with Docker specifically because Disco Donnie was selling a lot of tickets and a lot of
Yeah.
traffic like 7 years ago.
Yeah, and it comes in very quick
Yeah,
bursts.
those guys, that's how you run a company basically. Like, it's just cool because like they're not they didn't strike me as very like techie people.
They're
but
not.
They're like they like making money and like they seem to be very like analytical and
Yeah,
kind
they're
of
very
like
practical.
pragmatic. Yeah,
You know,
I like pragmatic and practical people.
Yeah.